You sleep too much. You've heard it your whole life. From parents who pulled the curtains open at noon, from friends who stopped inviting you to morning plans, from coworkers who raised an eyebrow when you mentioned you slept 10 hours and woke up tired. You've been called lazy, unmotivated, told you're wasting your life 1 hour at a time. And every single time you felt the same thing, that quiet shame of being reduced to a character flaw by people who never stopped to ask what was happening beneath the surface. But psychology is here to tell you something different. There is nothing broken about your need for sleep. There is nothing weak in you. You are not a slower version of other people. Your brain is running processes so complex, so energy intensive, that the rest of the world's sleep schedule wasn't built for it. Your sleep isn't laziness, it's maintenance, and it's far more sophisticated than anyone gives you credit for. Think of most people like smartphones running basic apps, a few notifications, a few browser tabs, easy to charge, quick to power up. 8 hours and they're fine. But you're not a smartphone, you're a server. A server doesn't sleep lightly. It doesn't do quick reboots. It runs background processes most people can't see, indexing, archiving, error checking, rebuilding. When it goes offline for maintenance, it needs longer. Not because it's weaker, because it's doing more. While everyone else does a basic overnight refresh, your brain runs deeper diagnostics, deeper emotional processing, deeper memory consolidation, deeper repair of neural pathways damaged by a world that is overwhelming to process if you're wired the way you are. Neuroscientists call this slow-wave sleep extension, the brain's deepest restorative phase, and some people require significantly more of it than others, not because something is wrong with them, because something is working very hard inside them. That's not laziness, that's biology. But there's another layer here, and this one runs deeper than most people are willing to look. For many people who sleep more than average, the sleep itself is a response to a nervous system bombarded all day, by noise, by social demands, by a world built for high-stimulation environments, by the invisible weight of processing more than the average person does. Psychologists have identified a trait called sensory processing sensitivity, present in roughly 15 to 20% of the population, where the brain processes environmental stimuli at a significantly deeper level. That processing has a cost. It burns real, measurable neurological energy. So by the time the day ends, the recovery deficit is larger. And the sleep needed to close it is longer. You don't sleep more because you do less. You sleep more because cognitively and emotionally you did far more than anyone watching could see. But here's what no one talks about. Some of you didn't always sleep this much. There was a version of you that woke up easily, that felt rested at 7 hours, that had energy for evenings. But something shifted. Slowly, invisibly. Stress accumulated. The environment became relentless. The emotional labor of existing in spaces that never quite fit started compounding. And your body, smarter than your conscious mind, pulled you toward sleep the way it pulls you toward air when you've been underwater too long. Chronic oversleeping is one of the most overlooked symptoms of depression, chronic stress, and emotional exhaustion. Not the dramatic kind people recognize, the quiet kind, the functional kind, where you still show up, you still perform. But underneath, something is running on fumes, and sleep is the only place it gets to stop pretending. Your sleep isn't avoidance, it's survival. And here's the layer that surprises people most. Your relationship with dreams. People who sleep longer don't just sleep more. They dream more. They spend more time in REM, the phase where the brain does its most sophisticated emotional processing, its most creative synthesis, its deepest psychological repair. Research from the University of California found that REM sleep is the brain's built-in therapy system. It processes emotional memories, strips raw pain from difficult experiences, and files them somewhere you can access without being destroyed by them. Heavy sleepers aren't escaping reality. They're processing it more thoroughly than people who cut their sleep short ever do. You're not sleeping through your life. You're making sense of it. For someone with a lower sensitivity system, 6 hours is uncomfortable but manageable. For someone whose brain runs deeper background processes, sleep deprivation isn't just tiredness, it's cognitive fragmentation, emotional dysregulation, the feeling the world is moving too fast and you can't locate yourself inside it, anxiety from nowhere, a fog no caffeine lifts. When you're pressured into sleeping less to perform the productivity culture version of success, the cost isn't fatigue. The cost is functioning below your actual capacity, stripped of the depth that makes you who you are. You don't need to sleep less. You need to stop apologizing for sleeping enough. Now you might ask, if this trait is so expensive, why does it exist? Why didn't evolution remove it? Because the tribe needed dreamers. Every human group had its high-output actors, moving fast, deciding fast, burning energy fast. And then there were others, the ones who processed longer, who dreamed deeper, who woke up having solved the problem everyone else abandoned. The healers, the strategists, the visionaries whose best thinking happened not in daylight, but in the long, quiet architecture of sleep. The brain that sleeps deeply is the brain that integrates, that connects what others miss, That surfaces insight from below conscious thought. Your sleep isn't a retreat from the world. It's where your most important work happens, so here's what I need you to hear. Stop setting 5 alarms to punish yourself into someone else's schedule. Stop performing wakefulness you don't feel just to look productive. Stop measuring your worth by how early you rise. The world has enough people, moving fast on empty. It does not need you to join them. What it needs, what it desperately lacks, are people who are genuinely restored, present, thinking from depth, people whose insights come from somewhere real because they gave their brain the time to find them. But be honest with yourself. There is a difference between restorative sleep and sleep used as a wall between you and a life that feels too hard to face. If your pillow has become the only safe place, that is not maintenance. That is a signal worth listening to. Because a server that never comes back online isn't resting. It's offline. You don't need to sleep less. You need to sleep right and wake up into a life that gives your depth somewhere real to go. When someone calls you lazy for sleeping long, what they're really saying is, your rhythm doesn't match mine. That's not a diagnosis. That's a difference. They were built for quick charges. You were built for deep ones. Some people sleep more, not because they're lazy, but because their mind is doing the kind of work that only happens in the dark. The question isn't why you sleep so much. The question is, what are you building while you're under? If that reframes something for you, hit subscribe, because this channel exists for people psychology forgot to explain.